What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. So today it is the 18th of April, and we have a pretty interesting day. So it looks like /CL, /GC, and /NG, the three main, at least, natural ETFs or futures that I choose to focus on, have all pushed up, and this is great and all. Unfortunately, just because I do have a position on DGAS right now. What's it called? It's not the most attractive thing. It pulled back. It had a really solid push up for natural gas, and I'm going to be showing my screen. I'm going to be talking about that. And yeah, let's go ahead and maybe talk about what it is on why it's pushing up, and talk a little bit more on the technicals on that standpoint. And then I'll start covering some questions that you guys might have when it comes down to maybe some trades that you guys see that. Oh my gosh, that was so loud. Oh, now I know how you guys feel. But yeah, let me go ahead and move my other computer over here. All right, let's go ahead and do this. So I hope you guys are all having an amazing morning. I'm going to try to keep it pretty simple. So let's see how this looks. Boom, perfect. All right. Yeah, so let's look at, just give me a couple minutes if you guys are tuning in live right now. Then just give me a couple minutes before you start asking your questions so I can break down the stocks, and then after that, then I'm more than happy to start breaking down some stocks for you, and then we can cover that. So as we could see, natural gas was as it went below. Okay, so natural gas was showing signs of a potential reversal. It started showing a peak at around 276, which is what we wanted to see. I saw the SMA showing signs of a downward pattern, so that's why after market hours, or right as extended hours happened, I reminded you guys, hey, look, take a quick look at the SMA indicator. During aftermarket hours and after it started consolidating a little bit more, I started seeing that it started to pick up, and then it got rejected, pick up, get rejected. So a lot of consolidation happening at around 275. I was kind of iffy about that, but right as the market opens, we have a really solid push up, pushes up to 2.78, taking a step back on this 90-day analysis. We could see that it does have some margin based on previous patterns on why it can push up to about highs of 280, right? Especially for natural gas. That's a very common pattern. Looking at the overall volume and stuff like that, we've been able to see that be kind of descend, but it's been picking up. It was still holding above the EMA indicator, which is something that I talked about yesterday and stuff like that. But today definitely did push up pretty aggressively, and it is getting that much closer to 2.80, and it just continues in making kind of higher highs. And unfortunately, for those that are in a position right with you guys on me, we were green yesterday. If you guys took a position with me at all, we were green, and I was up a little bit over $400 to $500 and stuff like that. And that's all part of swing trading. Unfortunately, this pullback that it had was not a pullback that I was really able to take advantage of or manage very well, just because it trades during extended hours. And unfortunately, I just wasn't that aware or on high alert during extended hours. So when it had this sell-off, this thing happens all the time, and it has a sell-off during extended hours, and you end up opening red. There's no question about that, right? But it's because it's so overextended that I do see some signs of potential reversal. So again, my average is at around $27. So I do see some potential for there to be a potential reversal and this thing to start trending back up. But in no way is this something that you should invest in. It's still actively trending down, and that's why I personally wouldn't invest in it as of now. No signs of a reversal or no signs of an uptrend pattern or anything like that. So it's trying to reverse right now intraday. That doesn't mean anything. Again, it's still trading below the EMA and the middle VWAP, so that's something that I want to make sure that you guys all understand. So let's see what we can do. Let's see. All right, so it looks like we have a slight support at around 2640, around 2650 for the gas. I'm going to set my alert for a potential reversal. I want to see if we can catch it when it breaks above the middle VWAP. That's a little bit more of a critical point for me, so I'll just set my alert there. I also want to set my alert just because this is going to be a little bit more relevant to me and the overall pattern if it ends up making new highs. So I know that it does have potential to hit highs of 2.80. So I'm just going to set an alert if it gets close to that single alert at or above. And also if it starts to get rejected, just because it pushed up so aggressively, I think that there could be a pretty aggressive sell-off. And in that sell-off, if I absolutely just want to cut losses or sell where I bought, then I can definitely do that, right? So let's trade smart. Let's not let our emotions come into play. And let's kind of plan out, not just thinking about in the moment, but what can happen throughout the day and stuff like that. So we could see that, what's it called, /GC definitely did push up, so that's in favor of JNUG. JNUG making new highs. Looking at that 180-day analysis, we can see that again. It's still showing that, that bull flag pattern that it was showing with that resistance around 1550. It was able to break above that, showing signs of an uptrend pattern, and that's why we were staying away from JDST, just because of that, downward pattern, and it was still holding below $50, which is the ultimate, support that I was trying to break above. And as of now, we're still not breaking above that /CL. Still on its way and making new highs. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. But yeah, so showing signs of an uptrend pattern, making new highs as well. And that's in favor of Gush, as you guys can see. What the heck is going on with my TOS? I don't know if you guys are having any technical issues with your TOS, but that was kind of weird. Let's see. Mine is a little sluggish as well. Yeah, that's weird. Might just be a little server issue that they're experiencing right now. But yeah, so congrats to all those that ended up holding ticker symbol X. Ticker symbol X was one that we called out when it was at around $35. It had a really nice push up, in my honest opinion, based on previous patterns. Obviously, it could continue pushing up, but based on previous patterns, on when it pushes up pretty aggressively, it tends to have a sell-off. So this push up that it had was pretty dramatic based on previous patterns, right? As we could see that it doesn't push up this aggressively for a very long period of time before it gets rejected. So yes, I do believe that it can hit $38 or even higher, and then it will most likely pull back. Just take that into consideration and see if there's any signs of a reversal. So one thing, if you want to continue to hold, watch out for the break below the middle VWAP and the EMA to get a better understanding of this thing getting rejected. As we can see, there's a slight little sell-off happening right now, and that's something that you'd kind of expect just because it pushed up so aggressively. So just make sure you cover profits as soon as possible if that's something that you see value in. So we're actually seeing quite a bit of these pull back, which means that DGAS, where's DGAS at? Are we seeing a pullback with this? Nope. Natural gas is the only one that's still pushing up. With /GC, we are seeing a slight pullback, so that is in favor of JDST and stuff like that. But again, all these are still actively trending up. So right now it's all bull. So natural gas, UGAS is the one that's trending up. Gush is the one that's trending up. JNUG and NUGT are the ones that are trending up. And then just watch out for this sell-off. So this thing was trending up. It's having a pretty dramatic sell-off. See if we can get a little bounce here, and if we can't, just because of how much it's pushed up, then just wait for maybe a potential bounce off the bottom VWAP. And yeah, just being able to catch it at a pretty solid price point. So we got APA pushing up to above $42 today. That's pretty nice. So it's definitely confirming that uptrend pattern. Just like we called it out, it's pulling back, bouncing on the EMA, pushing up. After it pushes up for quite a while, then it pulls back once again. So let's just make sure that we understand that pattern. This one's been pretty consistent time after time, and it continues to make new highs. I wouldn't call it the best entry right now, just because of the distance at the distance you could see from the EMA and the overall candles themselves. There's going to be a dividends payout. It looks like tomorrow after market hours, or in 2 days. Yeah, so yeah, something to look out for. Diaz is pushing to new lows. I like it. I like it. No, I don't. Let's see. There we go. So we got 5-day, 5-minute chart. We can see that it's at 2.79 now. Overall highs right here at 2.80. Yeah, 2.80, and we still have about $1 more to cover for the overall kind of like peak that it's previously showed before, but that doesn't even mean that that's where it's going to peak out at. Like, it could continue to rally. So let's just, if I see that it continues to rally, I'm just going to cut losses on my DGAS position. So yeah, it does suck, but I just don't want this to be another drip experience, right? So yeah, and drip is still making new lows. It just went to sub $9 today, so definitely not the most attractive thing. Drip is trying to recover, but it's been trying to recover ever since it's dropped below $11. So, Nonya, Ricky, I got into APA. Thank you. I was hoping it would hit $45. Well, let's plan that out. So congrats on your trade. You got in and it's actively trending up. For it to push up to $95, yes, I do think it's possible. So that would be all the way over here. I do think it's going to be a time factor. So if there's one of two things that I would approach this, I would be an active swing trader in this, meaning that as it's pushed up pretty aggressively, right? As it's pushed up and it hit highs of like 42.50 and stuff like that, like I would consider covering profits, and then as it sells off, as it's done multiple times, it sells off and then it bounces again, I would buy back in again, and then on the next push, I would sell again as it pushes up. So it's almost scalping. So again, being able to buy the highs, buy the lows and sell the highs as it continues this uptrend pattern. Or if you ultimately feel very comfortable with the overall pattern and you're going to follow up with this on a very consistent basis and you're okay with the risk of holding it nonstop, then you can go with the approach of just swing trading it and holding it and adding more to your position as it confirms this uptrend pattern. So up to you on what you would like to do, but I think the covering profits option is just a little bit more conservative, because you get to cover the profits, you wait for the sell-off, and if it does end up continuing that uptrend pattern, then you can continue to buy in and sell again. So you just have to be a little bit more active and on edge with it. So yeah, I'm swing trading it. Okay, yes, I'm holding it. Okay, sounds good. So don't hold stocks overnight, guys. It's too risky. Don't know why Ricky is not advising that. So, I mean, in the course, we talked about the risk, right? If you've covered the Learn, Plan, Profit course, we've talked about the risk of holding a stock overnight. There's no question about that. When it comes down to swing trading, especially, there's one thing when it comes down to swing trading and swing trading something that's actively trending up. Obviously, the risk is much less on that, in my opinion. But a lot of the stocks and ETFs that I've been focusing on, unfortunately, I have been getting in before the confirmation, and that's a risk that I've been able to that I've been taking on. So as long as I explained in the course, right, that hey, if the stock is not actively trending up or is not above the 180-day EMA, by you holding this thing overnight, yes, there is a form of risk involved, and I've explained that in the course. Now, when it comes down to swing trading and it does not show that ascending uptrend pattern, and you do get in before the confirmation, then yes, there is a risk on top of that as well, and it tends to be a little bit more risky, but it doesn't mean that it's 100% like the worst thing that you can do, right? Especially when I'm trading something that offers like a very horizontal pattern. So yeah, it's never 100%, and right now we are catching a lot of these like bull ETFs as they push up pretty aggressively. So where is it at? So there's no question about that. I just think that the past 2 weeks have been a pretty aggressive like bull week, and we've been waiting for a lot of these stocks that have been showing signs of a potential reversal very closely, and unfortunately we've been getting in a little bit too early. And like I said, I swing traded DGAS yesterday, right? I've been holding this thing for 3 days, and I made like a little bit over $200 the first day and a little bit over $200 yesterday. Altogether, it was almost $500. So you can't say swing trading in general is a bad idea, right? But you can say that, yes, there is a higher form of risk involved if you are swing trading something, just because of the overall understanding that, what's it called? If something hasn't confirmed that 180-day uptrend, then yes, there's another risk that you're taking on because it's still showing signs of a descending pattern. So 100%, I understand that. So one thing that we could also look out for is on that 20-day chart, or if you like looking at that 10-day, 30-minute chart, as it started showing signs of an uptrend pattern. So we looked at that reversal, right? This 180-day pattern on this one. It got this pullback, and then it started to hold above the EMA, and then it started to push up. So this acted more as a cup, right, to uplift the overall stock. Also, if you look at the 10-day, 30-minute chart, you can see this reversal pattern that it had yesterday, which I should have really paid a little bit more attention to. When it had this huge sell-off, it bounced at where the SMA line was at, and then it started to push back up. With this understanding of this huge sell-off, I'm pretty sure that all this happened right before the market happened, because this is when we were at like 28.50 or something like that for DGAS, which would have put me almost at over $1,000 profit. But because it started to reverse before the actual market opened, I think the market opened right when it was at that middle VWAP. It continued to trend up, and that should have been an indication or a red flag for me on why I should have covered profits on DGAS. Right now it's pushing up again, so it's doing the same thing that it's done before. It's pushing up pretty aggressively, and we would like to wait for a sell-off. As it continues this ascending uptrend pattern, we'd like to wait for a sell-off, and when the sell-off happens, then I can happily cover DGAS, as it will then be at a much higher price point. And then if it ends up bouncing, then I can cover my profits on DGAS and then move my attention on over to all the different bull ETFs that are actively trending up because of natural gas pushing up. So let's see how this thing is doing. It just made new highs, did it not? It's trying to hold above this middle VWAP. Nice. I do want you guys to see. Do you guys? I want to see if you guys can. This doesn't mean that 100% it's going to continue to trend down, but do you guys see this with me? Do you guys see this lower high? So as it pushes up, it made highs a day, right? Pulls back, pushes up, makes lower highs, and then pulls back, pushes up, and is making lower highs as well. What is that? What happened? Whoa. Same thing happened for natural gas. Nope. Natural gas is still pushing up. So that means JDST should have had a nice push up. Okay. Be careful with this. Let's see if it catches here, but it's still selling off pretty aggressively. This could be a good opportunity for those that are trading JDST or JNUG. It's a 50-50 chance. Try to look at some patterns or try to wait for some form of confirmation that it's going to bounce on this middle VWAP and continue to recover. Because if it does, then that means that JNUG should recover as well. So that means that we should see a slight recovery, and then they could continue the uptrend pattern. But again, don't just jump in if you don't fully understand what it is that you're taking a position on or the overall pattern. But yeah, no, this one's not. This one's still confirming that uptrend pattern. Is doing a very good job holding above the EMA and pushing up and showing signs of this like bull pattern. So yeah, and then for /CL, this thing was actively pushing up and then it's having a little bit of sell-off, but it's doing a very good job holding above the middle VWAP and the SMA. So this thing is showing the same thing. So it's showing signs of this uptrend pattern. I'd keep a very close eye out for that. If it confirms lower highs and it like gets rejected anywhere below 37, 35, then I would watch out for a potential sell-off. But it actually looks like it's actually trying to push up. Volume's really picking up. Margin isn't very huge. It's about 1%. If it ends up making new highs and stuff like that, so there it goes. Just broke that resistance, so that's a very good sign. There it goes. MACD indicator curving back in. That's good. There it goes. Another green candle. And watch out for the break above 260 or 37.60. There it goes. I'm not too sure if it's going to be able to hold. That's actually a pretty good question, Don. So how long do you wait for a confirmation? Example, gosh, over $30. When do you know it's a false breakout or a new support? That's a pretty good question. So based on previous patterns, looking at, so I think the reason he's asking is because based on previous patterns, we could see that, hey, this has been a previous resistance, but it has also continued this uptrend rally all the way up to highs of $37, right? Almost 38. So how do we know when, let me ask you guys, how would we know when something is a resistance or if it's going to pull back and validate it as a support? So what is it that we need to wait for? I want to see if you guys actually know the answer, because I did explain this in the course. So give me like a very simple understanding of what would need to happen for on Gush to confirm that it's going to continue to rally up, or what would give us a better understanding on Gush that this thing is getting rejected at $30 and it's going to continue to trend down and head back to the SMA or something like that. What is it that we would look for? So a bounce off that price level. Yes. So how do we know when something is actively trending up? So what is something that Gush has been doing very well is that it's been holding above the EMA, and it's been, even when it pushes up and it pulls back, it holds above the EMA and then continues to not make lower lows and continues to make higher highs. So it would be that understanding. So since we know that, the margin from here and now comes up to, like, let's say $36, let's be a little conservative, right? To $36. Now that we know that we have all this margin to offer, we could wait for a pullback and see if it bounces, and if it doesn't bounce, or if it does end up bouncing, we could see if it makes new highs, and if so, then we might be on track for this thing to continue to rally all the way up to $32, $34, $36 and stuff like that. How do we know when this thing is going to get rejected? Let's see what you guys have to say. Breaks below that 180-day EMA curling. I love what it is that you guys are saying. I actually really like, Jason, that's a very good term. So what does he mean by EMA curling? Look at Tesla, for example. I think that's a perfect example. Well, do you see that this thing was on its way? So this thing had a margin from 300 to 340. It was pushing up. How did we know that? Most likely it was going to get rejected at $300. There was a curling, like a peaking, right, or a curling EMA, right, at this $300 price point. It curled, and then it started to show signs of downward pattern. It's trying to recover now, which is great, but we didn't know that. So same thing would be for Gush itself. I think, Don, thank you again for bringing up that question, because I think the overall understanding of that pattern, looking at this as well, like what happened here when it hit $30, you could see that it got rejected, it pulled back, it tried to bounce, it pushed up, got rejected, and then it broke below the EMA. So there was this curling EMA, the candle started to break below the EMA, and there was a lot of consolidation and hesitation for it to actually hold above $30. So now looking up to what's happening right now, you have to ask yourself, is this the same thing going on? Again, this did not all happen. What the heck? Come on. I'm sorry, guys. So this did not all happen all within one day. Let's make sure that we understand that. This happened within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. 6 days for that full, and 6 full days. It wasn't until the 7th day that we could really confirm that downward pattern. So it took about a week for us to be able to confirm that. So don't just think that, hey, today I have to make the decision, again, that I need to confirm this, if this thing is pushing up or pushing down. Obviously, if this thing continues to push up to $31, $32, then we have some form of sign that it's going to continue to trend up, right? But with that understanding, just know that it did take some time for the overall confirmation of that reversal. As long as we understand that, then I think we're good. Just patience, understanding that based on previous patterns, it took time for it to confirm that downward pattern. This time it might take more time, it might take less. And look at what previously happened to confirm the reversal, or what previously happened when it confirmed that uptrend pattern. Because we have both examples. We have it getting rejected, and we also have an example of when it pushed up and continued to rally. Use previous patterns as a reference on what happened, looking at the MACD, looking at the RSI, looking at the pullback and how it reacted, right? Look at everything. It pushed up to highs of about $31. It consolidated for 1 or 2 days, pulled back, bounced, and tried to hold above the EMA, and then it continued to rally. It doesn't mean that it has to follow this exact pattern, but it's just the overall understanding of what can potentially happen. If I'm not mistaken, it's on its way to make new highs. So yeah, it pushed up, had a pretty solid sell-off, and then it's trying to push back up again. So that's pretty solid. My goodness! Oh man, that was a nice little push. Congrats to all those on X. Okay, Dylan Harris, he said, took a small position on CY, starting to make me a little nervous. So CY, I believe this one was showing signs. So you took one yesterday? Oh. So this overall pattern on CY has actually been pretty volatile. And you can look at the overall patterns before on when it confirms like an uptrend pattern. Like it pushes up, pulls down, pushes up, pushes up, pulls down, pushes up, pulls down, pushes up. So it's not like a very steady or like, you know, consistent swing trade. You should already know that. And I mean, just looking at previous patterns, you could see how volatile it can be. So if you aren't comfortable with that, then this probably isn't going to be something that you want to swing trade. Like if you don't fully understand the pattern and maybe you have too much money invested in this, I could understand why this could be, you know, make you feel uneasy, right? But just know that, you know, within the past couple of days, it's pushed up pretty aggressively. It sold off. It tried to bounce on the SMA. It pushed back up, and today is having a sell-off. So it's trying to hold and bounce, and what we would like to see is that it holds and bounces on this SMA indicator. That's what I would look for a potential reversal. If it continues to trend down and it breaks below $17 or anything of that, I would kind of be on high alert on why I would cut losses there, just because it could potentially continue to sell off and then reverse back again a little bit later. It's just up to you if you want to continue to hold this as it pushes back down. So yes, I do see why it is that you did see Val in it as it was pushing up, right? It made sense, but also just know that I think when we talked about this one in our Sunday Stock Talk, we talked about the volatility and seeing how volatile it can be when it pushes up, pushes down, pushes up, pushes up, pushes down, pushes up, pulls down, and stuff like that. So just know that that is part of swing trading, and some stocks are a little bit more aggressive than others. So yep, and it does have some room to potentially sell off too. So let's just make sure that we take that into consideration. Oh man, I am jealous for all those that got into ticker symbol, because I wanted to take a position on this one so bad when it was at like $35. Gee willikers, man, that'd have been nice. Pushing up. Yep, about to hit highs of $38, and that was a previous support. So again, that could be a pretty solid resistance. Watch out for the earnings as well. But yes, it's definitely pushing up very aggressively today. RSI is indicating a little bit more of a peak formation. So let's just make sure that we take that into consideration. So natural gas, let's do the 10-minute chart. Oh, not enough data there. What do you guys see going on right here? Do you guys see this? It's pushed up very aggressively. The EMA has caught up with it, so it's not pushing up as aggressively now. It's at a previous resistance, right? So we could look at the previous resistance based on, you know, previous data. So we could even look at a 90-day analysis, right? Previous resistance on why we could say that, hey, this is a price point on where it might peak out at. And if we look at the 1-day 1-minute chart, we could also see this. Jason, can you give me that magic word? So Ricky, I don't see the next support for DGAS all the way until 25.3. So again, if you don't understand the pattern, Muhammad, or if you're very iffy about the overall pattern and you're currently in it right now, I would, you know, like not trade it or completely stay away from it or cut losses and stuff like that. So yes, so it's the curling EMA. I think I'm gonna come up with like some of the patterns that people talk about are some of the like they're very like technical, and they might be kind of difficult also to understand. I really like the cup and handle pattern. I think it sounds very fun. Let's go ahead and I'm going to make a video about the curling EMA. I think it's fun and we all understand it, and it's, you know, it's how it makes us feel, right? If we understand the EMA and what a curling EMA is, it's not even when it peaks out, but also when there's a curling EMA, when it could start to reverse. You know, that could be very important to know. And if I can spark some emotion when you guys are learning this and it could stick to you, then I think that could be very, very nice, right? Because we'll understand what this curling EMA can hint on. It doesn't mean 100%. I've seen multiple times that it, like, you know, it's showing that this curling EMA, and then all of a sudden it could receive some form of news or active catalyst and drives the price up, right? but it's the understanding of this being a potential pattern and a very common pattern where there is a curling and it shows this peak formation, right? So I know that there is a technical term for it, but why not have fun with it, right? So we could see that it's holding very well around 2.785. I would like to see this break that support. It has not been able to break below it, and it's consolidated here for quite a while. So I would like to see this thing to start to pull down. Let's see if we can. I don't want to focus too much attention on this. Nope, it's still trying to push up again. So that's funny. So I'm going to move my thing a little bit over here. Here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set my alert. Let's see if I can set my alert for the break below this, just so we can get the confirmation for that curling. Let's see. Revisit tell. Okay, let's start doing it. Valerie, boom. Okay. Okay, so let me go ahead and visit tell. So tell on this 180-day analysis, 100%. Actually, I actually had some stocks. I was going to make a live video yesterday. I felt very weird yesterday. I don't know. Yesterday was tax day, and I was actually speaking to my CPA about maybe some videos that I can make with his expertise and stuff like that. And I was like, look, I have a good amount of people that like follow me on YouTube, and they're always asking for like some form of advice that I don't feel comfortable giving since I'm not a tax specialist. So I'm going to meet up with him again and see if he'd be willing to like film like a short video. And if I can't publish it on YouTube, then maybe at least I could publish it for those that are enrolled in Learn, Plan, Profit, and kind of just some maybe like three or five tips to be aware of when filing taxes. Because yeah, I had to ask for like an extension, and I went through all these things that I've never gone through before, and I want to talk about my experience doing that, but it could be pretty iffy or a sticky kind of like topic, and I don't want to put anyone in a bad situation because I know not everyone's position is going to be like mine. Yeah, but overall, I had these tickers. So CY was one of them. OAS was another one that I was looking at, and then APA. So I'll follow up with them later, maybe throughout the day. But yeah, just wanted to talk about this. I also saw the pattern for TELL and how it was showing signs of an uptrend pattern. IP just went above $54. Yeah, I heard about that. So tax day is extended till today. Yeah, I heard that there was I'm experiencing a glitch with the IRS.com website and stuff like that. So that kind of sucks. I'm up 3.5% on the day, off to bed in Japan. Happy trading team. What's going on, Dylan? Happy to hear that. Okay, so natural gas did just break below that support. So that curling EMA is curling even more aggressively. Okay, Yaron, so you guys really like the idea of the tax video, so I'd be more than happy to do that. What's going on, Herman? First day in the chat. Appreciate it. Happy to have you as a part of the team, man. So really solid ascending uptrend pattern. What is something, can I ask you guys? I really like quizzing you guys because I think this can make kind of like the topic stick a little bit more. When something is actively trending up, especially on how it's, one thing that I like to do is I like to average out what the average push away from the EMA is at, right? So that's about 8%. This one was a little bit aggressive, right? This one was about 10%. Right now we should be at around 7%, so 7 to almost 8%. Looking at that, that's about the average of the push. It looks like it's consolidated there for about 1 day, and it would almost make sense on why there would be a pullback. What is something that you would like to wait for on TELL before you take a position? Obviously, I like to get as close to as possible on this EMA. So again, note this. It pushes up, it consolidates for 1 or 2 days, it gets rejected, and it doesn't bounce right away. It takes about 1 or 2 days, and then it starts to confirm this uptrend pattern and confirms the EMA, and then continues to rally, and then pushes up. But it's not until not the first day, not the second day, but the third day that it actively starts to push up. Pushes up, gets rejected, pushes up, again, pushes up, and then the potential pattern would be, gets rejected. So validating, just like you said, validating the, man, there's a lot of alerts going on. Validating the EMA as the support and waiting for that full-on confirmation to take a position when it starts actively trending up. So right now, I see this to be a little bit more on the overextended side. RSI can validate that. I would wait a little bit more for a sell-off and confirm, so if you're currently in this, I think that it's most likely going to start selling off, and then it's going to hopefully bounce at the EMA. So we would like to wait for the validation there and then continue that uptrend pattern. So yeah. So NG is selling off. Don't get me excited. You better not be lying. I'm happy. EMA is curling. There we go. So DGAS is pushing up pretty nicely. That's good. Something that I find attractive. And it's pushing up. Great. Still, it's barely breaking above. Again, I think this is another very funny thing is your account will grow the way that the direction that the lines are pointing. So if you add an arrow to the end of this like middle VWAP, what direction would your account grow right now? Is this actively trending up? Is this actively trending down? Is it horizontal? What's going on? Right now, I would say that the middle VWAP is kind of horizontal, and although it is pushing up, let's note that it has been showing signs of a descending pattern and that we don't let our emotions come into play to get in as quick as possible, right? Because this thing can push up, it could pull back, get rejected, and then continue this descending pattern. Let's make sure that we understand that pattern. Right? It's pushing up. Let's wait for it to make higher highs, validate a support, and continue to make higher highs. So it's pushing up. It's pulling back. Let's make sure that it makes higher lows, right? So it doesn't go as low as it did before, and then it continues to push up and make higher highs. If we have that confirmation, watch out for the potential resistance at around 2660. Again, I'm in this position for DGAS, and I'm telling you that it might not be the best time to get in just because of the descending pattern. Also look at /NG. And make sure that you watch out for the middle VWAP on where this thing might bounce, because if this bounces on the middle VWAP and then continues to recover, then that means that DGAS will then start to sell back off again. So please understand the correlation between the two and to stay up to date and set alerts. Set alerts when it gets close to even remotely close, not even at the line because it doesn't even have to touch the line, even when it gets remotely close to these lines, because when it does, then you want to make sure that right now, it's consolidating right here to potentially recover. What I think that's going to happen is going to try to push up, get rejected by the EMA, and then continue to trend down. At least that would be in my favor, right? So it doesn't mean that that's what has to happen, though. So it's pushing up. It's a very common pattern. It tries to recover, and it's either going to recover or sell off again, right? And continue this downward staircase pattern. So have I gone over /CL? Well, yes, we talked about the ascending uptrend pattern and that it's been doing a very good job even during extended hours, holding in between the middle VWAP and top VWAP. So although it is selling off right now, just because right now, what is it? What's the ticker? DRIP. Just because DRIP is actively trending up right now does not mean anything. The reason why I say that is because /CL was showing this upward staircase pattern. How do we know that it's upward staircasing within the past couple hours? Is because of it holding in between the middle VWAP and bottom VWAP. It's ascending uptrend pattern, and right now it's catching at this SMA line. And if it breaks above and then continues to recover, then that means most likely that DRIP is going to start to descend and get rejected by the middle VWAP, top VWAP, and then continue to descend. Please understand the correlation between futures and ETFs. We've talked about this in the course. There's a whole section just for ETFs. Please be sure to cover it. And watch out for the sell-off below that. I've been there. Trust me. Let's see. Take symbol LabD. Okay, so very low volume and strong descending pattern. Do you see this? That it continues to make lower lows and its highs are not as high as the previous highs. This is not something that I find very attractive. And with this descending ETF, I think there's a lab U, right? If I'm not mistaken, and that's the inverse of it. Yeah, and even then, this is more of a horizontal pattern. So you can see that it's most likely going to get rejected by this SMA line. and then we could start most likely seeing a sell-off, and then it's most likely going to try to bounce at around that $70 price point where it has before. So yeah, let's see. Yes, so Dave Peterson, I've talked about that before within the past 2 to 3 videos, that I did sell a portion of my drip position, a majority of my position. So yeah. Okay, so I saw someone direct message me also about TVIX, that it's trying to recover. So showing signs of this potential reversal. Yes, it makes sense on why it can start to recover. Again, watch out for that EMA, as it might act as a resistance, as it's been continuously showing signs of a sell-off. So don't let one green day make you think that it's all dandy, right? So again, one green day doesn't mean anything. It could get fully rejected, and no, it doesn't mean anything. So thank you again, Muhammad, for that. He's saying that /NG is rejected. And yep, there we go. Do you guys see that rejection? And then it sells off. I really don't like zooming in that much. Yeah, but thank you again for that follow-up. If you're asking me to break down, again, if you're asking me to break down your stock with just the ticker symbol, I'm not going to break it down for you, even if you put it back in the ticker symbol, because, and you guys need to become familiar with calling out your stocks in a complete call out format. And that is something that we explained in the course, and that is something that you have to do. Something that I did yesterday is, and something that I want to do on a more consistent basis, is if you see value in something, you need to be putting it on a weekly basis under the group alert section. This is not where you post any of this. This is not where you post any of this. This is not where you just post none of that. This is not where you do call outs. This is not anything like that. And you can see people are Xing your thing, right? It's just, it doesn't make sense to me, guys. I've talked about this time after time in the course. Stop use the specific group chats for the specific topic itself. The reason why it provides so much more structure. Everyone continues to remind you, call out format, call out format. That's all it's for. This is like, if you want to talk about something, go to the main chat or go to the off-topic channel or talk about the ETF. Ask your questions in the Q&A chat. This is not where you ask questions. And one other thing that I do want to remind you guys, when it's like after market closes and still people are asking me questions and tag me, like I spend a majority of my day behind a computer, but there's only, like, I want to, and it's what I'm going to have to implement. I'm going to have to, I'm going to send out an email, and if you guys ever want to ask me questions, it's going to have to be during these live chats or within 1 hour after the live chat, so I can catch up on all my direct messages, and then I don't end up feeling bad if I don't respond to other messages, because I can't be behind Discord the entire day hoping someone messages me. Does that make sense? So it's all about efficiency. As long as you guys know, I know some of you guys work and stuff like that, so I'll set up certain hours that I will be checking and following up on Discord messages, and you guys can ask me during those hours. But for someone to ask me, I had someone ask me a question at 1 in the morning last night, and then them messaging me question marks on why I'm not responding quick enough. It's like, come on, dude. Like, I'm not going to be here behind a computer the entire day just to answer your questions. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me on how that makes sense to you. And this is just what's going to happen. So I know some people like myself are getting pretty frustrated just because of a couple like new members like not listening to the rules and stuff like that. We have to understand that this is like what's going to happen as new members join, but don't worry, me and Justin are definitely going to be implementing certain things that provides more structure for new members and making this whole transition a lot smoother. So just know that we are working to bring back the overall quality that we originally had, and obviously it's just within the past couple of days that it hasn't been the best, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible to fix. So I know we get very upset, right, when there's a lot of FAQs being asked, but just know that we'll definitely take care of it. So. So I don't know what you mean by the correlation between that. So intraday, if you're talking about the RSI being low and then the MACD reversing, again, I'm not really focusing on that pattern too much, Mohammed. That's more intraday. Something that would be a little bit more relevant is even this overall pattern on how overextended it is, because it's validating this much more rather than just intraday, right? So again, this is a more long-term growth, and this shows on when it would start to reverse. So again, when it started to reverse here, you can see that this MACD indicator is much more valid. The RSI is much more valid, and same thing with this. The RSI is much more overextended. You can see that the RSI is much more extended, and so is the MACD. You need to become familiar which like if you're planning on swing trading something or holding something for a number of days, it's not really intraday that it might play a role, and that's why it pushed up very dramatically and some people can get a little scared. But it's understanding and taking a step back of more long-term or consistent patterns on what's most likely going to happen, because there's a lot of hype and a lot of demand that can happen within one day, but is that demand going to continue to follow? So and this pattern is much more relevant to me than a 1 day 1 minute chart. I appreciate that, Oche T. That is a compliment, and I will take it. Thank you. Happy Wednesday to you too. Acacia Hunt. I can't actually think I packaged your order. That's so funny. What's going on, Acacia? Super excited to hear that. JP, why does your thing keep getting rejected? I don't know why your thing keeps getting rejected. I'm sorry. I don't know if you... Okay, no, and that's the thing. I don't, and I want people, I need to do a better job, and that's something that I'm going to be working on this week. I need to do a better job in the introduction videos for the Learn Plan Profit course to clearly state that you are required to complete the entire course and that everything is provided for you in the course, and to not ask FAQs, to explain to you more in detail where everything is provided, so all these questions don't have to be asked. So I don't want for the new members to feel like we're just bashing them, because that's not it. You're new and you don't understand kind of everything that we've already been doing, since some of us have been here for a couple months. So I want you to understand that, and I understand that. You just have to understand, as a human, sometimes we get upset, but dude, it's we're a team. Even if we do get upset, it's me and my team, we will work on making this more efficient and more fluid for our overall group. So I just want you guys to know that. I'm actually going to work on those videos today. I filmed 3 new videos for you guys. I filmed a video about real estate and how I was able to find a deal last year that this year I sold for $45,000 profit. And then I made 3 videos, and I think one of them is about mindset, one of them is about real estate, and then one of them is about the importance of saving money. So I don't know if any of you guys ever messaged me through Instagram, and you guys were, some people were asking me hey, is the course worth it just to learn overall general understanding of investing? And I think these videos that I talk about and how I talk about saving money for to get lucky. If you guys don't know what I mean, you guys will know what I mean after the video. It talks about the principle of working as very simple. I think I'm going to make a YouTube video about it as well. And it's as you start, there's no question that some people that are part of our group are going to start making a couple extra $100 a week, or a couple extra $1,000 a month. And something that happens very often when people start making a little bit more money, when you have your normal job and then you have this that we're adding to supplement your income, your total revenue grows. And something that happens, almost naturally is so will your expenses, right? People start to spend more money as they begin to make more. And I think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings for people that actually do well long term. Is something that I've worked on very well is as I started making more money, I tried to minimize my expenses to build that margin, that gap from what I spend and what I make. The reason why is I take everything that is that I make and I put money aside for different ventures or different opportunities, so when an opportunity does present itself, I am prepared. And if I do get lucky for an opportunity like I did last year where there was a distressed seller for a condo and I was able to take advantage of that opportunity because as a cash investor I provided value, I was able to leverage my cash for an amazing deal, which then a couple months later made me a little bit over $45,000. So and I think that just talking about the overall mindset can be something that can be extremely beneficial for a lot of people that might just need that like spark and interest. So, and then also, so I want you guys to know that I'm not like that's why when people ask me like, hey, do you want to make like a real estate course? Like, no, I'm not. I don't even like really label myself as like a real estate investor. Like I own a couple real estate properties and that's it. But I know, I think a little bit more than the average person just based on my experience. But in no way, when people ask me like for some advice, like instead of the real estate agent, like 100% I encourage you to reach out to a real estate agent. Even if you're not even buying a house, but you just want to become more familiar with the market, get in contact with the real estate agent and just start asking them questions. Like that's what they're for. So for me, we actually have a real estate agent, Lovina. There's a lot of real estate agents within our group, but Lovina is one that keeps in contact with me pretty often. She does, or just Acacia, right? My mother is a real estate agent and I'm trying to learn from her as far as real estate investing goes. I love that. Just surround yourself with people who invest in different markets and just maybe add someone to your contact list. So whenever you have a real estate question or want to learn more, then great. So, Dustin. That's super cool. Nonya says I negotiate short sales. That's super cool. Well, Nonya, if you find a house that's being in a short sale and you need someone to buy the house and it's a really good deal, send me a message. Let's see. My goodness. And we could have also seen, man, why did I not like this? I've been so distracted. Yesterday was a horrible day. And not even talking about trading. Like I made money yesterday with trading, but it was just because of my taxes. Like it was a dingleberry moment. But and that's why, when you're not fully, in the state of mind to trade, and you have a lot of money invested in something, I could have seen right away, like it made sense. Like if I could have just gone on this 15-minute chart, on the 5-day 15-minute chart on why, DGAS got rejected and why it would continue to descend. Like I should have covered profits and I didn't. And then it had the sell-off and then it's going to try to push up and then it's most likely going to get rejected here. Dingleberry moment, I swear. Just distracted. See why pushing back up again? Okay. So we can see that there's a little cup formation forming. That's pretty nice. So it's curving, that curving EMA. So again, and then we can see the curving EMA here, acting more as a support. It's definitely showing signs of a push up. That's good. Again, if it starts to pull back down again, just know that it's all part of the game. Just act quick, right? So it's curving right back up. 1 day, 1 minute. It's curving, trying to curve above and break above the EMA and the middle VWAP. So that's good. We'll see if it continues to follow up. So you can see that X is definitely showing signs of this almost like bull flag pattern, right? Resistance here, it's bouncing now in between the middle VWAP, but almost the middle VWAP. Do you see this curving of this peak formation, right? Now it's starting to curve more back down, and it is making lower highs now. So just watch out for that if you're still holding X. I would consider covering profits pretty soon. /CL. Yep, it's trying to bounce here. Let's see if it actually bounces. JNET and UGT probably still going to be pushing up. And then IO, again, this very consistent uptrend. This thing cracks me up. Yeah, I mean, this thing has gapped up since we've called it out. I know like a lot of people like just because it doesn't move up very aggressively, but guys, it's pushed up like within the past 2 weeks, 15%. Again, it's very consistent. Watch out for this resistance at around $30. I know we joke around with it because it's very consistent and it moves very slowly, but just ask yourself, are you up over 15% in the past 2 weeks? And if not, then, you know, DGAS just got rejected. There we see that rejection. Do you see this consolidation happening? So it's at the low points right now. We'll see if it pushes back up. But again, we would like to see this thing to continue to hold. And yeah, same thing is happening with this. So, all right. I like that. What's for lunch today? We hungry? What's up, ridiculous? All right. I had Cane's super late last night. I had Cane's at like 12 o'clock, and I was working on a couple things. I like that. So play the dip on play the dip on AMD and bought in. Okay. So you played AMD. Let's check that out. I know that this one was called out, so it had that dip buy, 180-day pattern. Definitely showing signs of this potential reversal, rejection by the potential SMA. Where's it at? There it is. Okay. It does look a little bit overextended, just something that I'll look out for. Did you already sell? The reason I ask is it is holding above the middle VWAP, but it's having some form of resistance at around 1050, which it's had before. We could see the resistance at 1050 before. So it did push up after market hours, but we want to make sure that, you know, we don't end up holding and then it continues to reverse. So good call out on that, and congrats on that trade. No, selling at 1060. Oh, well, it had a nice little push up right now, and it looks like it's making higher highs. Watch out for that rejection. 1060, that's a little bit above that top VWAP, but wish you the best of luck. Just again, although 1060 is your ideal price point, just make sure that you understand the pattern and that you don't just sell at that exact price point. So okay, I'll play a different one. So MCRN, I'm just going to break this down for fun. Pretty low volume. Definitely, I like that ascending uptrend pattern. It makes sense. Look at previous patterns on when it pulls back closer to the EMA. If it has that pattern, it looks like it does, but it doesn't even pull back that aggressively either. So I like the ascending uptrend pattern of what it's showing now. Just know that it's been about 2 days, so that's decent. And try to get a better understanding on where it would be a good time to buy and where it would be a good time to sell. But I like this reversal pattern, right? This curving of this cup formation. So where are your veggies and fiber, man? I don't know. Aren't French fries vegetables? Let's see. Very good. You went over a new group of stocks, and any chance you can do a quick follow up with them and talk about. So are you talking about the ones that the 8 stocks that I talked about, like Verizon, Macy's, APA, and stuff like that? Not too sure if that's what you're talking about. So bought a condo 3 years ago, sold in 2 months, made 8K profit. Now using the profit in the stock market, learning the LPP. Thanks again. I like that, Leo. Absolutely killing it. Yes. ONCS. Okay, so ONCS is still actively trending down. It does have a very horizontal pattern when it breaks above this specific price point, and that's where the EMA is at right now. So let's just set our alerts and follow up with this one when it starts to actively trend up. So good call out, but it's still actively trending down. So /CL took off. Ooh. Oh, this is for drip. Yikes. I thought you were talking about natural gas. How's gold doing? All right, guys, we're at that 1 hour mark now. Looks like today has come to an end for our morning chat. How would you feel about a long-term option call on IO? I don't do options, but yeah. Yes, guess so. When you love what you do and you're like, I want to break this ONW down for fun. Right? Isn't that crazy that it's been an hour since I've gone live? I think it's pretty crazy. Time flies when you're having fun. I swear. I don't know about you guys, but and I know, and I'm just like being real with you guys, like as not even talking to you guys about like let me close this out. Like I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. Like I 100% like as a person, like just talking to you guys as a person, not as like an investor nor your mentor or anything like that. I think that we could all agree that when we're doing very good, like 2 weeks ago, when I was having the $3,800 week, when I had that $3,300 week, and it was just like super smooth, super easy, and stuff like that. Trading is so much fun, right? Trading is so amazing, and we all have an amazing time. We're all just making money and stuff like that. But also when there's weeks like last week where it was a break-even week for me, or this week when I'm actually down just because of me closing a loss on drip, it kind of sucks, and then you take another position, and then all of a sudden it doesn't play out the way that you expect it to, and it continues to descend. I know it sucks, and although we are having a good time, and I try to just keep everything positive, you guys just have to know it's like a business, right? It has its ups and downs, and first of all, like this is why you have to be, in my opinion, extremely passionate about what it is that you do, because in the very beginning, that dollar return is not going to be there, and it's going to be difficult to be consistent. But it's learning from your mistakes. So for all those that, if I could ask you guys for a favor, is I think my video today, or my video that I'll be uploading into the course today, because I also talked about bag holding and my experience with drip and stuff like that, and I've bag holded a number of stocks. I've taken multiple, like thousands of dollars in losses before, and just know that like I've done all that to get to the point of where it is that I am today. Just keeping it very simple. So I know, we definitely have fun when it is that we're making money, but let's not get discouraged when we might have a couple, bad days or bad weeks, right? Because it's still a very small time frame from, ultimately what we can do, or the time that we do have to actually invest in the stock market. Let's focus on patterns. Let's make sure that we understand the overall understanding, the overall understanding of what is working well for us and what has not. And as long as we continue to act quickly, trade smart, and focus on quality, you'll start to become more refined as a trader. You'll start to understand much more. And that's why I've encouraged people that when they're first getting started, that simulation trading is not a bad, it's almost like admitting to yourself that you have a problem, right? So it's always the affirmation or the confirmation or the acceptance that's always the most difficult part, that hey, you might just not be ready right now to trade with real money. But if you take that step, you start simulation trading, and you start to actually grow your account, and you have your emotions completely detached, or you're trading with a much smaller dollar value, and you can really learn from that, then again, it's about mindset in the very beginning. It's about consistent growth, getting the ball rolling, and not the dollar value. And I just want to remind you guys that. So yes, I'm down this week as well, as in not even with my account value, because that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. That's important. I'm talking about as overall you know, there's a lot in my life that is happening right now, as well as I could assume in your guys' life. And when the market also goes against me, or if I'm not doing very well, I can become very discouraged, and I can be like, man, maybe this market just isn't for me. Like, I've been there. But just know that, you know, these are bad weeks, and when things really get stacked up, I think taking a step back, even if you have to take a break for a little bit, as long as you don't give up and you still see value in it and you do it on a consistent basis, then, you know, that's all I ask. So if I can ask you for a huge favor, for all those that continue to talk about drip, for all those that continue to talk about those stocks that you are bag holding, everyone knows those are descending. I'm sure everyone knows. We don't need to hear that you are down on drip or that it continues to descend. We can easily see the pattern. You sending out those messages continues just to discourage people. And although you're just sharing, you know, your current position, that's fine. You can share your profits if that's what you want to do, but just know that that's not helping or benefiting everyone. Again, let's focus about quality. Let's not just ask questions to ask them. I don't think that there's any dumb questions. I think that there's questions that can be easily avoided and easily answered. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have the course. Dedicate time, review the information, and every time that you share a message in the Learn Plan Profit Group, even if it's in the main chat, regardless of what it is, make sure that it's quality information. We're all here. We all paid for this course, right? And we're all trying to provide a certain quality of information that is being shared, and you sharing something based on emotions is not helping anyone out. So I don't need anyone to bring anyone down, nothing like that. So I just would like to remind you guys that just know that other people are reading your messages, and your message might be discouraging others, and that's not okay. So as long as we could understand that, then we're good. So no, and the thing is, like, I don't want to subjugate nor make anyone feel bad, right? It's the last thing that I want to do. I just need to remind people sometimes, like, what we're here for and what we're here to do, because some people really like just having fun and sending out like random messages, but then we also have to remind one another that, like, you know, some people are not that comfortable with the market, and you sending out these messages sometimes can be pretty distracting. So it doesn't distract me, because there's so many irrelevant messages that are being shared that it doesn't distract me. If you guys ever want my attention, even in these live chats, do you see how you know, it has my name in orange because they tag me? Same thing with the Learn Plan Profit Group. If you want my attention, tag me, and tag me when I'm live, not or when I'm sorry, headphone users, when I'm available. Don't be tagging me. It's like common sense. Like, don't be tagging me at like 1 in the morning. Yes, I might be up, but unless I'm actually like, hey, someone direct message me right now, which I don't think I've ever done. I always have enough messages to follow up with. Yeah, just keep it simple. Be realistic with yourself, and be like considerate for others. So yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. So thank you guys again for your time. I need water. We ran out of water yesterday, and yeah. I also want to send out, let's see how many people we have live with us. We have 356 people. First of all, I want to let you guys know that if you guys go to the TechButt Solutions website, I just got a Discord message today. Someone that my TechButt Solutions website was something that I reserved, and it looks like someone hijacked it, as in like I just bought the domain and I never really touched it. Because I wanted to do something a little bit different with it. It wasn't even the platform that we were working on. Someone hijacked it and is trying to sell some certain services on the TechButt Solutions website. I just want you guys to know that if you've ever get asked or ever are reached out to about the TechButt Solutions website, as of now, I mean, I don't even know what they're charging for. I think it's like Forex or something like that. They're using our TechButt's name. I have to get on the phone since I now have access to it, because I have to reset my password. So there's a lot of like BS that I'm working with, unfortunately, within the past 3 weeks. Not only with this, but with Instagram and fake accounts and people reaching out to people impersonating me. And then I have to help other people dispute that was not me. It was a fake account, and just a bunch of stuff that like I don't want to deal with, but I want to go out of my way to assist those that were unfortunately taken advantage of. So just wanted to remind you guys that No, like learn, plan, profit, flipping wheels, and like those are my only other things other than my YouTube and my Instagram. I can't really think of anything else. So what did you do with all those Twizzlers? I have over 30 bags of Twizzlers. There's one right here. Do you guys see that? We finished that one all yesterday, and they're like they're each a pound. So yeah, I'm gonna go get some Chipotle, I think. So I've been staying pretty consistent just because I've been trying to like eat a little bit healthier. I'm trying to stay away from Cane's a little bit more, but I've been eating Chipotle and stuff like that. So all right, guys, I've taken too much of your guys' time. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. If you guys can like this video, that would be great. I'll be following up, and I'll be setting my alerts all right now for all the different stocks and ETFs that I'm trading. And once they go off, I'll send out reminders under the trade ideas sections. Please complete the course. Please like the video, and please be kind to one another. Like always, guys, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.